we're getting to the juiciest parts of this entire course, because the next couple of modules are going to cover the most advanced topics that are really connected to Figma, not just UI design, but like really the advanced things that make Figma the best tool there is when it comes to UI UX design. So one thing to cover is what is auto layout, since that's going to be the topic of this module. And auto layout is a feature inside of Figma that allows you to work a lot more efficiently. It allows your work to be more scalable, and it kind of, again, pushes for more consistency in your work. Why? Because it allows you to take the elements that your interface is going to have and apply rules to them. Which means that if you add more things into it, or if you change the sizes of some elements, all of the other elements are going to respond correctly to those changes. So to demonstrate auto layout, I'm just going to make the simplest example of an auto layout, which I'm sure you've seen, is let's take like a little rectangle like this. It's going to be representing an icon for us. I'm going to put in text like this. So it's a button, let's say 15, 24. Perfect. You can make it just for demo purposes. I'm going to make it smaller than 24, so the line height isn't the same as the icon. And you can either select those two elements and hit a plus here on the auto layout side, or just use Shift A as a shortcut for it. So you can see that now we have in here a rectangle and a button, and they're both in a frame like this. And you can use the positioning in here to kind of tell the elements inside of auto layout how to behave and how to be positioned. In here we have padding, so you can control left and right padding and top and bottom padding. If you want to change just one of those and make those different, you can do so by hitting this little icon in here, and it's gonna allow for independent paddings. In here, we're controlling the spacing between the elements inside of auto layout. So you can see that spacing is 8 and exactly that. And in here, you can also control the kind of direction of auto layout. So either it's coming from top to bottom, which is really useful for lists, or it's going to go from left to right, which is useful for a lot of like tracks where you have multiple buttons in a line and things like that. So we're gonna add some padding to this button like this, and let's give it a fill. Maybe let's just do something that's not gonna be so wild. So yeah, maybe something like this. The text can be white. Now when I make it, you can see the width in here, it's 48. If I make it extra bold, it's going to be bigger, and the whole layout in here responded to it. What I like to do with things like buttons is I like to kind of make this side a little bit shorter and this side a little bit wider if they're icon buttons, because then it creates some kind of a sense of visual alignment and optical alignment. So I'm going to make the left one 12 and the right one 20, or maybe even 24. I think I'm going to keep it at 20. And there you can see this button now actually kind of looking more the way it's supposed to be. You can control the auto layout frames exactly as you would any other frame. So you have all of those controls here on top, and you can just kind of play around with those. But yeah, this is the simplest explanation of what an auto layout is. If you need, for any reason, another icon in here, then you would go maybe here and kind of play around with this a little bit more. And yeah, so you can control padding, you can control the positioning of elements in here, you can control the direction of the auto layout, and you can control the spacing between elements. If you need more control between the elements, and let's say we want to keep these two more together, you can just kind of create an auto layout inside. I did it by hitting Shift A, and you can make this one more connected while this larger one is going to be wider. And that's a big thing about auto layout. You can basically nest an auto layout inside of auto layout inside of auto layout and so on, and it's going to respond to whatever you do with the elements inside.